looks like he's coming our way. Hopefully we can scare him away.
Another day, another drizzly day. I'm about to become the power washing maniac of the day. I got to power blast that boat off, get ready for bottom paint next time it gets dry. Clean it all up, fix the broken parts, and get it back in the water at the end of this month. We have a 2-day fishing derby to kick off the season. And for anybody curious, will I be guiding on the water? Yes. How many days? Haven't decided yet. It will be, if you want to come fishing, you can plant the seed now, just so everybody knows, because last year was a little bit of an abrupt announcement. I will do a limited amount of days in July and August, possibly late June, but definitely in July and August. All right, so if you want to do that, keep that in mind. Don't start emailing yet, because that's a ways off. Now, last night, jumped in the tub outside, excuse me, in the backyard, faces the Beaufort Range, They call it mountains, I call them hills, a big long line that goes north to south. Yeah, about that, south, north, south. And there's no access to this big patch of timber on the side that I'm aware of. I keep asking around how to get up there, everybody says you can't. Unless you have the key to get around the back. But last night I'm sitting there gazing off into that darkness, and all of a sudden, bam, there's an orangish white light, bright as F, and in the timber on that mountain range again. And then kind of blipped a couple times, came into view again, sat there, moved a little bit, and then went in between some branches on the tree that's on my property and kind of blocked my view. And then I was kind of yelling into the house for Sarah, I go, please turn off that light so I can see better. That light's back. Just turn the light off and it was gone. I don't know why my report, I don't know. That's the second time we have seen lights over there. The first time was like welder, arc welder bright. And that really moved along, disappeared. Yeah, soon after that we had helicopters doing the valley real low late at night. So, and there's also where I live is a hotbed for activity. It just is. All over the place. Like a bunch of locals have emailed and said, hey man, you want to see a Sasquatch, just walk the Stamp River. Done deal. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw it in there. I saw bright lights again last night, up on the side of the mountain. I'm guessing at the treetops. I didn't really get too clear of a look, but it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. It's like, there it is. Another report of lights in the forest, right? What are they? Now, here we go. Continuation of yesterday, possibly. The inbox is going off the chart. What's this one? Holy cow, this is a freaking book. Should I dive into it? All right, let's see how I do here. This looks like a long one. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I'm going in, all right? So, oh yeah, quick mention. It's funny how many people out there are angry. It's unfortunate. There's a lot of angry people out there, but I had somebody blew a gasket on me in an email saying, this is for you. It went off about how you said you don't pre-read these emails, and obviously you do if you're seeing people emailing you to watch videos, so you're lying to us. Listen, I've said it before, I've said it a dozen times. I will skim through the top of an email to make sure it is about somebody's encounter, and then I save it in the notes. I don't read them. And the majority, I get dozens and dozens and dozens of emails, and the title is, you gotta watch this video, see this video, important video, watch this video. If I watched every video that gets emailed to me, I would probably be dead before I got to the end of them without watching all of them, full time, without sleeping in between. Anyway, I'm babbling. I'm gonna stop the babble. I've had my 2 coffees. Listen to this. This is the title. Here's the story of the ape creature at Whiteface. For years, the quote thing, end quote, has been exhibited in carnival sideshows at state fairs around the US and in Canada. For years, the quote monster, end quote, has been the subject of a bitter feud between it, the owner, and government agencies. For years, the specimen has fueled a raging battle among scientists. It is an incredible hoax. Is it an incredible hoax or a fantastic anthropological find? Now, for the first time anywhere, the man responsible for the biggest controversy to hit the scientific world in the part decade presents his own story to the public and leaves it to the reader to decide if it's fake, fact, or fiction. All right, so this is a story wrote somewhere. Titled, I Killed the Ape-Man Creature of Whiteface by Frank Hansen. Is the creature a fabrication? Okay, tell you what. This is somebody's story. Obviously, it's going to be available somewhere, so Google it up. I Killed the Ape-Man Creature of Whiteface by Frank Hansen. Okay? So that's a story out of a book. I won't use that today because I need to hear from all of you and what you have seen was troubling you and what you have to help the people. And that can be a read for all of us at another time, all right? If you choose to. Now, what else do we got? Thanks for that alert. I'll have a glance at it. I get time. This email's titled Something Went Boom. Steve, hello from Baltimore. Been there. My name is William. Tonight, about an hour and a half ago, I happened to look to the southwest of Baltimore, MD, about 45 degrees up from the horizon. I saw what I can only describe as some kind of an explosion. A very bright white flash of light. It was definitely not in Earth's orbit. Someone else out there had to have seen this. It was enough to shake me a bit. I've been looking up my whole life. I'm 44. Never have I saw something that actually concerned me. Please put this out there so I can hear if anyone else saw this. Thanks for the platform and stay frosty. William, share it, man. Share it. Let's see what happens. Watch the comment section below this video, okay, you guys? Share it. Next up, Ojibwe Elder response and Happy New Year. A reply to the father in your video, quote, what is caught on this trail camera, end quote. Good day, sir. It's been a while. So first, Happy New Year. I spent the majority of the past few months visiting with the Ojibwe Elder I affectionately called Nukamus, and her friend, a Cree Elder, Miss D in the UP of Michigan. After the archery deer season, I spent a few weeks working on the translation of Mr. Ash's diaries. Yeah, man, where are those? I'm all over that. I came back to my home downstate for the holidays. Then after Christmas, I headed back to the Superior State. This morning, I opened up your video. What is caught on this trail camera? I'm way behind on your videos. I need to take a weekend and binge watch them all from the beginning of the year. But I heard the recounting of the father and his 8-year-old daughter. From what the father relayed, it sounds as if he has been adopted. He mentioned that he and his daughter had trauma in their lives. The Savvy/Sasquatch would know this. As the elders have said, they can read our spirit and know all we've been through. The daughter said she had seen their white eyes. The elders have said that the color of their eyes has a significance. Those who have seen Sabe with golden eyes have felt a calm, peaceful feeling. Those who have seen fiery red eyes have felt fear or bone-chilling terror. The white eyes are said to be a sign of caring or compassion. It's as though the Savvy/Sasquatch have read our souls and know every terrible happening in our lives that weren't caused by us, but by others or by circumstances out of our control. I would tell the father, they are not there to hurt his daughter. They're there trying to convey that they can feel her pain. I don't know what this pain is, and it's not for me or the rest of us to know, but the father knows, and so does his daughter and his adopted family. Savvy/Sasquatch can and will come to those they have adopted when they believe they may be able to help. I can understand the father's anger towards them. Don't get me wrong, that's completely natural. And for any parent, We'll do anything to protect our children. But since we're dealing with relatives that we have been told time and time again don't exist, yet now we know different, fear takes over naturally. Though it's really not fear, it's apprehension. So, to the father, I would tell him to do this. Take an offering of tobacco to the tree line while carrying it in his left hand. Always the left hand. Why? Throughout history, bad things are carried in the right hand. Weapons, as just one example. The right hand was used to pull back a bowstring or carry a lance. The left hand was always extended in peace. Take the tobacco. After holding it above his head and lay it at the tree line. He can place it on anything. Paper, cloth, tree bark, or just lay it on the ground. He said he had gone to the tree line before and talked to them. If they haven't answered, the tobacco is sacred. Presenting tobacco is a means of asking for truth and knowledge. Ask the questions he has again. Let them know you wish that they don't come to your daughter right now. She's not ready, but you appreciate their concern. Her Christian faith will help her. There are ways of rebuking them for now. The best advice I would give you is to contact Scott Carpenter. He can teach her how to use these faith tools. I also feel you have native blood. I don't know if you have been taught the old ways, but it sounds like you carry what Nukamus calls a blood memory. This is the First Nations way of saying you have native DNA. Savage/Sasquatch will know it. Yeah, I had that same feeling too. As a father of two girls, I taught them years ago. You may think I'm crazy, but you need to know what lives in this world besides us. I also taught them they didn't need to tell anyone about this knowledge till the time came when they knew someone was going to need it. I told them they'll know when the time is right. So to the father I'd say, Dad, talk to your daughter and tell her all that you know, the good and the bad. It sounds as though the Savage/Sasquatch haven't done anything aggressive toward you except scaring you. You can tell them, stop. They will hear you. Tell your daughter to do the same once you have spoken honestly to her. They are there for a reason. It can take a long time to figure out the reason. Start with talking to your daughter and let her life's journey be one of gathering knowledge and not running from fear. Knowledge and education are tools. If you need help, just ask. There are thousands here on this platform that are more than willing to help. If you like, give me a call. Steve has my phone number. Don't forget to contact Scott Carpenter. He'll do all he can for you too. I hope this helps. Take care of it all, Steve. I'm putting together a boatload of knowledge I've gathered over the past couple months. I've been honored to attend the Sacred Story gatherings with the Anishinaabe. Anishinaabe community. Anishinaabe. I would say Anishinaabe. All right. Sorry. Anishinaabe community. There are some stories that can only be said when snow is on the ground. Thus, only told during the long winter months. I'll get further into it in my next email, which will be soon and most likely long. I had a great deer hunt this year. I harvested a 10-pointer with one of my dad's old English longbows. Oh, no way. Right on. I'll send you a photo and a photo of the monster my daughter brought down during firearms using my 308. I have a strange feeling she's not going to give it back. So until the next, take care. Give that grizzly you call a dog pet for me all the best, Brian Stidham. Mentakui Oasid, all my relatives. It was a nice deer, man. That one your daughter got was big. You can tell by the tiny eyeballs. That's a big deer. I don't know if anybody wants to see that or not, but I think that doesn't have autofocus on it, but that's a great season. Those are good eating. Whitetail are real good to eat. Anyway, thanks for sending that in, man. Appreciate it. Please send more. As soon as you get those diaries, whatever you got on the go, whatever you have been working at, you're not going to get any pressure from me, but just so you know, you're never forgotten. We think about you often, and always look forward to hearing the wise words of Mr. Ash. Okay, man? So please share it with us again. All right? Thank you so much for reaching out to help one of the contributors, subscribers here. That's what this place is about, right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, another voice. Share if you get a chance, is the title of this one. This is a better pick of the first pick. The second pick is new within the last 2 weeks, same place. Hi Steve, I hope you and yours are well. I've been hesitant about sharing my personal experience, but now, thanks to you and others, I'm convinced it needs to be shared. They all do, man. They all need to be shared no matter what. That is true. Let me start by saying the experiences I've had were not scary nor upsetting in any way. In fact, the opposite. Through the last summer, I stumbled on a community of Bigfoot not far from my home. I also noticed prints on the bank heading up into the bush, some huge up to 24 inches and some smaller ones, maybe 15 to 18 inches. Then I noticed tree carvings 25 feet up a tree. Tree carvings, that's not a common one shared or noted. The more I looked around the area, the more art I saw, including stump art and stone carvings, even a tree that was painted blue. That could have been from logging, maybe. There's a lot of blue spray paint used where I am on timber, marked for either to be left or harvested. You never know. I don't know. I wasn't there. I haven't seen it yet. I started going there at night. The first few times it was dead silent, but by the third time I could hear them walking around on the hill just above me. On the same hill at night, the orbs light up one particular spot, and there are usually many other orbs in the area. I've seen 5 of them so far, 3 young ones and 2 adults. The last time I was there at night, I had a paranormal experience when I got back home. I bought a sandwich before I came home that night, got in the house, put the sandwich on the counter, and played on the computer a while. I went to my room, opened the door, and turned on the light. There was a piece of bread from my sandwich on the bed. I was blown away. They let me know that they were aware of me and it was okay for me to know of them. Here's some pics from last summer. The last one is Bigfoot scat. Thanks for all you do. You're someone I admire for getting the truth out and not taking anyone's shit. I live in blank blank, but please leave that out because they are so close to my home. My name is Tom Skyme, and you can put that in. Thanks again, Steve. Okay, man. Wow, that tree is something else. I'll post these up. The scat. I'm not sure what I'm looking at as scat. Is that? I'm guessing it looks like, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at a bunch of grass with leaves on it there and an out of focus tree knocked over. I think you might have screwed up on your photo sharing, maybe possibly with that one. But this tree bent and okay, wait a minute, it's snapped? Is that rotten? Who cares if it's rotten? That tree, regardless if it is rotten at the base or not, does not matter. Oh no, it's got green limbs on it. That wrap around that tree, holy, that took some pressure. And there's definitely no room to get a piece of equipment in that timber, is there? That was quite the photo, man. Pretty crazy. They're letting you know, that's for sure. And you are very close to where I frequent. Be careful out there, man. Be careful. You know how many people got missing at the headwaters where you are? A lot. A lot. All right. Keep us posted on whatever you learn, if you learn much. If you come across any kind of knowledge you think we can benefit from your investigating, let us know, man. Now, this one's titled A Lifetime of Anxiety. Dear Steve, I'm not sure where to begin, but I would have thought I was crazy had I not heard some of the stories on your channel. I grew up in West Virginia and had night terrors from age 2.5. I was put on sleep meds at age 5. That's brutal. Meds can, yeah, I'll bite my lip. I was terrified of a big, dark, hairy thing that peeked around corners at me. After hearing people, and especially children, who have seen these things indoors, I now wonder if that were the case for me. All my life I was told it was separation anxiety, that I have a problem. Now I wonder, did I see something in the house? The woods? We camped a lot. Did something look in my window? How would I make something like that up at such a young age and be super terrified? Right? I was terrified to be left alone and would scream and cry, running to my mom or grandma. I even had a name for it. Moosik. M-O-O-S-I-K. Not music, That's what people thought I was saying, and while I was crying in fear, they'd happily put the radio on. I can remember at the age of 4 being so frustrated because I was terrified of music, and people didn't understand it was a monster. As I got older, it was a bit of a joke that as a child I had an imaginary monster instead of an imaginary friend. I never found it funny. My parents took me to see doctors and preachers, and I had a Bible by my bed at night. I used to pray all the time. I wonder if that saved me on a few occasions, as many of the stories you've read say that the name of Jesus seems to send these things running. I've had the feeling in the woods of all the hair standing on end, and a feeling of sheer terror to run. I remember one time specifically sitting on a massive rock in the middle of a boulder field and having the sense that something was to the right of me. I knew if I stayed there, something was going to happen, so I bolted. As a result of that and my imaginary monster, I've stayed out of the woods on my own and will only go if I'm with someone I trust. I'm now a scientist. I no longer live in the States. I would ask that you don't share my name, as you know how scientists are targeted for telling the truth or speaking against the current agenda. I've had a lot of supernatural experiences and wonder sometimes if I was marked at a young age. There are a few things that happen to me in national parks that David might find interesting. I just want to share this and let you know that some scientists have an open mind and are listening and watching and appreciate people like you who are not afraid to put it all on the line to get the truth out there. Stay safe. You're in my prayers as you go into the woods. Sincerely. Okay. Appreciate you. And totally understand the scientist end of it. And yes, we do have a lot of scientists watching, and I do have a lot of scientists in contact with them privately. And more than enough of them have shown me names of colleagues of theirs who have been murdered around the planet by the dirty bastard government, right? Or maybe it's the military industrial complex. Whoever the characters are, they're all related in one. They're murderers. They're dirty, filthy, murdering bastards. So, anyways, share more. You had stuff happening in parks that Dave might be interested in. Share it. Share it. If you feel it's that important, I can get a direct link of it to him, and he'll see it in about 3 seconds. All right. So you got something that, especially in national parks, you know how many people go into the parks. Whatever you got, share it. We need to know. Okay. Share all you got. Thank you so much for reaching out. This is a safe place. I got you. You're not going to be. I'm not going to share any of your contact or your name. Next one is no subject on the title. Hi Steve, this is a question. What do you think about this? Sasquatch/Sabe/forest peeps sightings used to feel few and far between, but they seem more frequent and common now. What if, just like all of us, normal humans, they have figured out how to live in relative comfort and their population is now growing? You're outside more than most. I'm outside a lot. But do you think there could simply be more of them, and that's why we see or experience them more often? What do I think about that? No, I'm not the authority on shit. I firmly believe that the reason it seems like there are more of them is because it's directly because of the technology that's been dumped on us the last 20 years. We are now able to speak openly and freely and contact tens, if not millions of people that normally your average person just couldn't do. Wasn't even remotely available. So, the longer the more our population gets more familiar with the technology and learn how to communicate, and then find like-minded people and groups and places, the more information flows. So that is why I feel that is why it seems like there's more sightings. I think the activity has been going on just as long as we have been walking upright, whatever that means. This has been going on a long time. It's only now we get to speak openly about it on a large scale and share, and way more people, because of places like this and people like all of you, more people are becoming brave and more people are willing to speak out. And that is only because of all of you talking out loud, right? It's about the people. It's all about the people. I'll bite my lip because I've got things I can say about the dark bastards, but I gotta get back into hearing who needs to be heard next. This man does right here. Hi Steve, my name is John Phillips. I've watched your channel since the beginning, and we appreciate all you do for the people, not just on your side of the water, but on ours too here in the UK. I know you've spoken about, do the forest people exist in the UK? And I can categorically say that they do exist, and I've also experienced other phenomena. Oh, that wouldn't have been me asking that question, because I know they're there too. We've had numerous people come forward from your country now. Here are accounts of the 4 incidents that have happened in the Cheshire, Manchester, and North Wales. First incident. This happened around December 2010 in Delamere Forest. It was mid-afternoon, Christmas Eve, and my wife had asked me to take 2 youngest sons, William age 9, Ben age 4/5, out so she could finish wrapping their presents. At the time we lived in Frodsham, so took them out to Delamere Forest. Spent a couple of hours walking and playing around. It had snowed or was starting to snow, from what I remember. Around 4 p.m., I was startled to go. It was starting to go dark and nobody's around at this time. The forest was emptying of people. We were on the far side, deep into the forest, on the side where the lake is located. In my mind, I thought it was time to go now. As soon as I thought that, around 500 yards, maybe further, the loudest scream, like a woman getting attacked, that went on for about 10 to 15 seconds, went from a scream into a low howl to the point where we all looked at each other and William said, "Let's go." We ran back to the car, got in as fast as we could. At that point, I had no knowledge of anything paranormal or cryptid events within Delamere Forest. It did not interest me. We did take photographs as well, before which I can dig out. There was a very odd mist around my sons. Incident 2. This happened on Wednesday the 15th, September 21, on Little Peter Street, Manchester, in the car park. Had been to see a comedy show at Bridgewater Hall. Returning to the car park, my daughter took a quick picture of Manchester skyline. Nothing unusual. My son also decided to take a picture. Again, nothing unusual. There was nothing in the sky. The next day, my son realized his iPhone was on live mode, and on his pictures caught something very unusual. A very large, bright light moves across the sky, starting far away, then coming closer within seconds. I've attached the video of the light. Incident 3. Myself and my wife booked to stay at Ruthin Castle, 19th, 20th September 2021. On Monday night, after a meal around 9 p.m., we decided to have a walk around the grounds, as I had seen some standing stones in a field on the edge of the forest by the castle. I said to my wife, "I want to go over and see them." She decided she did not want to see them, and I ventured out on my own to have a look around the stone circle. I proceeded to walk around the edge of the stones. There were 13 in total. I touched them as I walked. Then I walked into the center. There was the biggest stone, flat, looked almost like an altar, and I sat in the middle of the stone. It felt to me as though it had taken 2 to 3 minutes to walk around the stones. I felt a cold breeze going over my neck and shoulders, then felt my phone vibrating in my pocket, and it was my wife asking me where I was. I had missed 3 texts and 2 phone calls from her, and had apparently been gone for 10 minutes. But to me, it didn't really seem like that. I told her I was coming back, met her, didn't think any more of it, went off to bed. Got up the next day early as we were leaving, had a shower, had breakfast, checked out around 10 a.m. Went around the nearby town, then went home. Later that evening, I felt my right shoulder was a bit sore. I asked my wife and daughter to see if there's anything there. Much to everyone's amazement, I had 3 deep scratches on my shoulder. Still bleeding? That's kind of creepy. Incident 4. I found a Polaroid of myself in my mom's house. Dad had recently passed away, so, having a look at old photos, it's me as a kid on holiday in Wales with 3 orbs above my head. Not long after the picture was taken, I was knocked down by a car and seriously injured. Crazy. Keep doing what you're doing. I don't think that we're not listening this side of the pond. Let me know if you want a guide when you ever come to Liverpool. You'll need one. Jay. Okay, man, appreciate it. 3 orbs. That's bizarre. There's the scratches. That's really bizarre. Way too wide to be a cat. Huh. 2 photos. I don't know if you... Oh, there's a video too. All right, well, hopefully I remember to get that video and stick it on here too. That's interesting and creepy. Losing time. That's really interesting, isn't it? Losing time is a real weird one. And I think Dave has investigated that quite a bit. Losing time. Scratches. I remember seeing a long time ago, flipping through channels, what I was doing, and here's one of those paranormal ghost shows or documentaries or whatever, and I watched for a second, and it actually showed scratches appearing on this dude's body out of thin air. That was creepy as shit. Nothing I want anything to do with. But the scream, the description of the scream you heard, obviously, that is absolutely, that's a dead ringer for what thousands of people have heard spread around the planet, right? And a lot of those screams are directly linked with a Sasquatch, Sabe, forest person sighting, right? Thanks for sending that in, man. I hope whatever scratched you isn't coming back to your house and following you around and tormenting the shit out of you and your family. That would really suck. That is creepier as shit. Thanks for sending that in, man. This next one's titled Puzzle Piece. Steve, I've listened a long time and believe. I heard your puzzle piece tonight. I agree. The craft and creatures are connected. Being a doctor of theology, I have my own beliefs of origin and reasons of being, none good, and all on a spiritual level. This comes from some years of research, both biblically and from historical documents. I just think you might get another puzzle piece by looking into what I'm sharing below. I know you dislike suggestions, but this goes to your puzzle piece. A book written by first-hand witness living in the Solomon Islands, retired military. I listed it below. Also, tribal knowledge with ties to World War II, accounts of military stationed on the Solomon Islands and Japanese military behavior, bizarre disappearance of military craft, and Japanese pulling out suddenly. Treaties were made with Sasquatch and islanders regarding land territory, to this day still in effect. UFO craft are seen to this day coming out of the cave systems on the island, as well as into and out of the ocean. Documented proof from eyewitnesses. There's much knowledge from the Solomon Island people on Sasquatch. That's all new to me. The Solomon Island mention is absolutely new to me. You're right about connection, but instead of looking up in the sky for the answers to these craft, you need to look below. Yeah, I mentioned the possibility of that yesterday too, saying, are they coming up out of the ground? Are they coming from over there and then coming down, meeting on the face of the planet? I don't know. The earth, that is, under the earth, there are vast caverns and hollows. Admiral Byrd documented this as well. He flew into a huge cavern in the Arctic and saw giants, Sasquatch. It was recorded in his writings, but suppressed. Now, that same area in the Arctic is a no-fly zone, no-go zone. Why? Right? That's creepy. Other explorers also documented these caverns, in a large mountain in the Arctic that had a cavern which led down into the earth. Some explorers went in and never came out. But they all recorded giants in there. Do the research. There are ancient manuscripts that also talk about the Arctic and how there is a huge swirling mass of water by this mountain that sucked some ships down into it and spit them out again. Same with Antarctica. UFOs coming out of ice caverns. One was frozen in ice. No-go zones there too. Only certain, quote, global, end quote, people are allowed. Again, Admiral Byrd did a lot of exploration there. He found some very interesting things. There are old interviews of him saying what he found suppressed. The Nazis had bases under the Antarctic, and it is recorded they worked together with these alien, aka fallen entities / demons, and were given tech knowledge of UFOs. A lot of Nazi leadership were in fact Satanists. So no surprise, historically documented. Same with founder of NASA, which means deception. I forget which language. This is evidence these beings are from below, not above. Hence the strong sulfuric smell some report. Also, there have been farmers and others who use sulfur on the property edges to deter these abominations. Sulfur, as we know, comes out of the earth and is present in volcanic gas. You may not read this, but I'm saying this. They are not here for good reasons. They are not my ancestor, nor did God make them in his image. They are a defilement of the flesh from evil forces under the earth. Our government knows exactly where these beings come from. They know where these UFOs come from. That is why I believe the secrecy and cover-up. So if there is this big invasion from outer space, like the Pentagon and NASA will report, it will rank up at the top of the list for greatest deceptions on mankind. There are many. Michelle Obama being a woman is another one, LOL. I live in Sitka, Alaska. We have some reports here on Baranof Island. My son and wife live in Nanaimo, beautiful island. Oh, no shit. All right. There we go. Admiral Byrd, if you guys haven't looked into it, I guess look into it, right? There's a lot of items there we've heard mentioned before. I haven't had time to look into that myself. As far as the GOV goes, the Gov goes, it's kind of weird. You know I follow what's going on the other side of the planet with the WAR. And it's funny, if the government was in control of these crafts or designing these crafts or intimately involved in these crafts, well, why aren't they being used in the WAR? You know, why not? Another thing too is when these global elite leaders start warring, which they are now, if they are so filled with knowledge that will blow our socks off, that are hidden secrets from our government, why wouldn't one side blurt it all out, you know, to screw over the other governments they're warring with? By saying, you know, as a far-fetched example, let's just say Putin says, oh yeah, you sons of bitches, how about you and the Anunnaki? Huh? We got video of you guys. Why don't you tell your people about that? Or whatever. Do you know what I mean? There's all these government cover-ups of UFOs, these beings and other things. I think, especially today, the other side of the warring governments would be whistleblowing to create unrest in the country that they're going against. Maybe possibly, right? I hope I'm making sense. Yeah. I try to bite my lip, but I will say this with absolute confidence is the people who are put in control right now, especially in the West, they have been and are killing people, including their own, here and across the globe nonstop. The evidence is in our face nonstop. It's brutal, it's disgusting, it's gross. And I'll end up with this note. If you have it in you, if you can, there is a Rage Against the War movement. It's starting to pick up a little speed, and I strongly suggest you jump on that train if you get a chance to. All right, it's very, very important. I don't want this to go into that direction, but I will share this very quickly because it bothers me a lot, and I follow it intimately through analysts. Anyways, there have been 4 different countries have attempted peace talks with the WAR going on the other side of the planet. 4 different countries to date, and a new country is about to make a proposal. 100% of those proposed peace talks were absolutely squashed by the West. Meanwhile, they are feeding 16-year-old boys into that cauldron to get annihilated every single day. Every single day they are feeding hundreds and thousands of innocent people who would normally have a fair crack at living a fun life, and they're feeding them into that fiery cauldron that they have no hope of coming out of alive or winning. And that's what the people who we give our money to are supporting and feeding non-stop. And it's got to stop. They are the most dark, evil creatures on the face of the planet today, and that's what they're doing. And there's absolute evidence of them killing us here, and more so, killing innocent people by the thousands over there right now. It's really gross, all right? That's all I got to say about them. So when anybody brings up the GOV on this topic, or needing anything from them, we don't need anything from them. This all has to come back to us. All of this power, you all hold this power. You're not going to get knowledge anywhere else but from each other. It's not going to happen. You're not going to find truth anywhere except from each other. You're not going to, all right? So if you have any concerns about needing to hear something from the GOV in any country right now, try to give your head a shake. Try to get out of that trap, all right? Get back to the people. Only give your attention to the people, all right? If you want to get better, if you want to get smarter, more intelligent, and possibly create more of a fair chance, a fair crack at having a fun, awesome existence here, you have to get back to listening to only the people, all right? That's what we're doing. Sorry about the little rant, but it's a very touchy subject today, and it should be with everybody. And I try to bite my lip when it comes up because I got a lot to say about it. Potentially, if I say it here, the channel will go missing. Please share these pieces of the puzzle with the people, Steve. All right, you got it. I finally did it. I got a lot down, and I hope sharing this helps somebody as much as it has helped me to write these experiences down. Hey Steve, wrote into you about my experience having type O Rh negative blood. I went into detail about the phenomenon, but did not actually include my experiences in the email. So, that's what I'm doing now. I'm just going to briefly describe several of my more profound experiences with the supernatural, paranormal, and psychic interactions. I have psychic abilities, and believe me, I'm the last person on earth people would stereotype as a psychic, lol. Honestly, it cracks me up to think about it. I was born and raised in Newport Beach, California, and most people stereotype me as a surfer dude, pop/street artist, and I was a partier/drug user for much of my 20s and 30s. In my past now, though, I now have a custom cabinet and construction and design business, and I have let go of my illusions of grandeur, somehow thinking I'll be some profound artist that would change the world with my visions of the world. I see this as a positive thing, letting go of this mindset. That is now promoted far and wide to the youth of today, that your thoughts are somehow so unique and important. All this has taken on a new context for me, as I have found many answers about myself and about this world over the last 20 years. Mind speak. My family did a lot of camping when I was younger. We'd go to the Sierras and fish for rainbow trout a couple times a year. I was obsessed with Native American culture as a child. My favorite book was called The White Indian Boy, and I identified as such. When I was about 10 years old, we went up to a big pine to camp and fish as we normally would. Excuse me. When things warmed up in the spring, we pulled up at the campground after a 4 or 5 hour drive, and everyone got out and straight to fishing. I almost immediately got hung up in some grass along the creek and gave up in frustration practically right away. I knew my dad would give me shit for not contributing to the dinner we needed to catch, but my pile and line were beyond my ability to fix. So I just started playing and exploring in the creek. I was suddenly inspired by a connection to something I did not understand at the time at all, but in the moment, I just enjoyed this very familiar feeling of a connection with nature, and it tapped into my reverence for Native American culture. At the time, it felt like the spirit of a Native American had reached out to me. It conveyed to me through feelings how I could catch fish for our dinner. Bracket, I've never talked about this, and just typing it has tears welling up in my eyes. not out of fear or anything negative, but out of the beauty of the connection I felt and how I have longed for it ever since, not knowing until recently how to get that feeling and connection back again, end bracket. This psychic connection showed me a method of creating a fish trap out of the rocks in the stream. So I moved the rocks around and followed this inspiration that I was connected to somehow. I created this fish trap and sat by the stream and enjoyed being in nature. After about an hour, I had 4 large rainbow trout that I had caught in my new fish trap. When everyone got back from fishing, they were empty-handed. Caught nothing, but I had single-handedly caught enough rainbows for us all to have dinner, and I didn't even use a fishing pole. Truly an incredible experience, and I don't think I could even recreate that fish trap because it was not my thoughts that created it. From what I know now, I believe I had found a brief and amazing connection with one of the forest people. Dark entity. When I was in my early 20s, one of my good friends at the time was attending school at Berkeley University. I was visiting my girlfriend at the time. We were planning on going out to some kind of rave-type concert that night, and we were just walking around the city and taking in the radically different lifestyle of San Francisco compared to the beaches of Southern California. We just picked up some ecstasy for our rave later that night. Walking on the right side of the road on the sidewalk, I was suddenly hit with a pressure. It startled me, and I immediately stopped and started looking around for what had invaded my inner space. About 30 feet away was a homeless man looking straight at me, straight through my soul, in a sort of a panic. I got my friend and girlfriend's attention and said, "We need to cross the street." My friend had no idea why or what I was talking about, but my girlfriend saw and felt the same thing I did. When this homeless man realized that I was aware of him, an incredible thing happened. His eyes blinked like an eagle or a crocodile, where an inner lid blinks horizontally. This scared the shit out of me. As this happened, the homeless man returned to his vessel, and whatever had taken over him left abruptly. It is a hard thing to convey properly, but this experience further opened my mind to the unseen world all around us. Embodying fear. This story is a warning to people who are dabbling with the unseen realm. Interacting with it comes with great responsibility and should not be treated lightly. I was at a 4th of July house party on the beach on the Newport Peninsula. Think the OC, as embarrassing as that is. I was drinking natty lights and dipping deep into the well of party favors, present, aka cocaine and pharmaceuticals. I only include this because it is also a warning and I think relevant to the unlikely persona I embraced in my younger years and how these experiences found me and not the other way around. In my opinion, partly because of my blood type and ancestral heritage, it's a topic for another conversation, but to give a tad bit of context, on my mom's side, my family arrived in America in the 1630s and are infamous for the classic American legend of Charter Oak of Connecticut, 33rd degree Mason and Knights Templar, who founded Lodge Number 21 in America. I don't want to give our name or much more information at this time, but I'd be willing to if you're interested, Steve. Also, founding members of Yale's Skull and Bone Society, famous for George Bush and John Kerry's membership. I know most people probably won't even believe this, but that is irrelevant to me. Although, like I said, if you'd like me to provide some more information and documentation for yourself personally, just let me know, Steve. And to trigger everyone a bit more, my grandfather's family were members of the Nazi Party. His uncle was a high-ranking Nazi officer, but were supposedly against Hitler and subsequently moved to America during World War II for their efforts in undermining his regime. I must say, though, from my own research, America seemed to freely invite Nazi members to move to America during and after World War II, and I have my doubts about some of the details of the family story. There's much more, but I will end it there and continue with my story. Whew, there's a whole pile of interesting items. So I'm at this party, a group of 3 pretty younger girls. I was up on the roof deck with a group of 3 pretty younger girls And I think, was up on the roof deck with me, and I was just drunk. Probably being a cocky dick and trying to impress them. At this point, I'd started to get the idea that was somehow... I see a mouse. Hold on a second. At this point, I'd started to get the idea that I was somehow psychic or something along those lines, and I played around with the idea. None of that world was ever relevant to me, and I did not understand or even believe in it necessarily. But it was fun, but it was a fun thing to bring up at a party just for the shock value, I guess. These girls were talking about going to a psychic, and I piped up and told them, well, I'm actually a psychic. Of course, they didn't believe me, but I told them I could prove it. So this girl sat in front of me and looked into my eyes, and I suddenly found myself with full access to her inner world. What? I shit you not. Her secrets, her fears, her family, it was insane. She started to think, and I just said everything she thought as if they were my thoughts. She was thinking about the fact that she had a boyfriend, but liked this other guy. And one guy was kind of dorky, and the other guy was like a bad boy. I mean, I saw everything in detail and relayed this information back to her. And this is where this gets disturbing. She coiled back in extreme fear, burst into tears, and started lashing out at me like I had violated her. She thought her friends had played a trick on her and started yelling at them, and they all started to cry. In that moment, I became some kind of a monster. People think their inner worlds are private, and that is just not true. None of us truly has secrets, at least for some of us, and I know that is hard to believe and hard to accept, even for myself. I never want to be feared like that again, and I will never lightly play around with the superhuman abilities that I guess I have, but I believe that we can all access them, some easier than others, and at least the RH negatives have access to these abilities without a doubt. I think about that poor girl a lot, and I hope that that experience didn't F her up somehow. Angelic fear. In October of 2020, I witnessed one of the most profound experiences, and finding answers has consumed me these last few years. I now live in Central California, and at the time, my ex and I had purchased my dream property, 2-acre little farmhouse on top of one of the coastal mountains that flank the ocean north of Santa Barbara. Not long after moving in, I started to notice some strange things about the area in general. It's like an energy vortex or something. Actually, after the fact, in my research, I found out that it is some kind of vortex, and the creek nearby actually flows uphill a short distance. You gotta show us a video of that one. I would consistently get ghostly impressions in my mind here. The night of the main experience was a frigidly cold night for California, and I had woken up about 1 a.m. for some reason. I had an inspiration once again. I was being inspired to go outside, and so I did. I was walking around in the backyard and looking out over the valley below. A warm light, like a campfire, caught my attention below. There are houses on the ridge across from us, and I didn't think too much of it at first. But this warm, glowing light seemed to be approaching me from down below. It raised up through the oaks, trees below, and right above and over my head. I was in awe, trying to figure out what exactly I was seeing. It looked almost like the afterburner of a fighter jet, or like the flames of a magnesium fire. It burned hot and tight like plasma energy or ball lightning, but it was a warm, glowing orange color. I was almost silent as it went overhead, but it seemed to vibrate or something at a high frequency. Molten metal or lava like chunks of this object were dripping off of it as it ascended higher and higher into the sky. There was no structure to this object. It was like an orb-like energy made or a plasma energy like or smokeless fire. The Islamic description of the Jinn, D-J-I-N-N, is of a smokeless fire. From what I've been able to gather, this is some kind of spiritual entity, possibly angelic, but not necessarily, because many descriptions of similar experiences proclaim they are some kind of evil. I did not feel evil from this presence. I did not feel profound good either. It was beyond my comprehension. What I did feel was an extreme shot of adrenaline because of the whole mystery and fear of the unknown attached to my perspective of witnessing this entity. The other, even more relevant feeling, overwhelmed my mind and body as I experienced this. It was an extreme shot of dopamine or serotonin. A rush of elation came over me, and this high lasted for about an hour. As it dissipated, I was sad to let go of the feeling and the no-ness of the moment and let it fade into memory. I held on to it as long as I possibly could. I couldn't help but look around for my fiery friend, and even now, when I'm out at nighttime, driving or going out to my car or taking out the trash, I think about it practically every day. I long for when I might get a glimpse once again. This is not the end of my experiences, but I am physically taxed after writing these down. There's so many emotions that come along with them. Even though I've tried telling my family about it, nobody will ever truly understand what it is like to see beyond the veil, to truly know with all of your being that this place and this life is not all that there is, and much more awaits us. Thank you again, Steve, for doing what you do. I've learned so much from listening to the people, and the HTH feels like a family to me in a way. I'll get back to writing soon and hopefully provide some more puzzle pieces to the members of the round table. Sincerely, you probably shouldn't use my name. All right, gotcha. That's one hell of an interesting email. Especially the bloodline stuff. The Nazi mentions, it's all something that everybody should take note of, but we don't really have it overly available to the public, right? Wow. There you go. Shared. Take from it what you will or leave it, you guys, but I'll tell you what, we need to hear from everybody, right? We need to hear from everybody. Somebody can relate to what you just shared. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Oh my God, this one's frickin' real long. Okay, I can't read that right now. I'll be out till lunchtime, and I gotta get stuff done. Let's see if we got a shorter one, maybe. Holy cow, there's another monster. Okay, what's this one? This is a short one. Mark this as red. You notice I didn't mark the other ones as red, so they're still right there on the list. Ball lightning info. Hello Steve, Bear here again. I've witnessed a ball lightning storm while in Arizona. I had it explained to me that it occurs when positive charge clouds run into negative charge clouds. When they collide, the lightning makes a giant spark that looks like a giant ball of light in the sky. Thus happens frequently in Arizona because the charge stays in the clouds, whereas bolt lightning, the ground is the ground rather than the clouds. I'm not an expert in the subject, yet this does make sense to me. Share if you want. If you don't, it's no harm or no foul. It's only my 2 cents, and that's all. Okay, man, appreciate it. I don't know much about the ball lightning, but I'll tell you what, the video of that ball of electricity floating across the train tracks, it'd be pretty hard to convince me that came from the clouds or the ground myself. But that's just me. Anyway, I gotta go. Sounds like my dog's doing her job, but it sounds like she's a little farther than normal unless she's behind the house. Anyway, if you get an opportunity to join in any kind of anything that goes against the WAR, you better join it. You better get on it, because that is potentially going to have a huge, massive negative impact on all of our existences, because the egomaniac, narcissistic, Saxo shit who created this WAR are losing, and they are going to lose, and they have access to the button, right? That's not good. We need to put an end to this, and all of those people who are in control need to have an end put to them so badly right now. It's ridiculous. Anyway, moving along. Biting my lip. Share my story, howtohunt.com. You got something that's going to help the people. You got some knowledge that we can all benefit by. No matter how crazy it may sound, get it to us, all right? We need it.